beautiful, lovely people. Today we have episode 3 of mine, The Gray Area. There is, of course, drama always. A new CEO has been picked or temporary CEO has been picked for Hyoan Group. There's catfighting. There's mama bear realness. The perfect marriage is crumbling. It's falling apart. So, let's get into all this drama with makeup in mind. First things first, I am not a makeup expert. I'm just doing it so that I have something to do while I talk to you about this. Second thing, if you have not seen this episode and you don't want it to be spoiled and you want to watch it yourself, please go do that before you watch this. And that's it. Let's get into it. So today we are going to start. We didn't learn very much more about the whole incident at the beginning of usually the episodes. This one just kind of showed we obviously know it's a woman, but I think we kind of knew that before. So that was all really on this episode for that. First character we are going to cover is Suk and Miss Kim. So, in this episode, they've obviously been having this little tryst, right, with the whole bed situation. So, he's always wanting to sleep in her room, and then she kind of has to go sleep in his. So, in this episode, he once again comes to sleep in her room, and she says no. She keeps trying to turn him down and say no, even though I think she kind of secretly likes it, but, you know, that's the good thing to do. Plus, I think she just kind of knows her station, so she's like, this is going to get me in some trouble at some point. So she tries to turn him away. He won't go away. Miss Ju comes to get her, so she kind of hides him in her room, and she goes to help cook or something. So prepare lobster, I think was what it was, of course. But when she comes back to her room, he is asleep in her bed. So she lovingly looks at him, of course, and, didn't want to disturb him, so she literally curls up in a ball and sleeps on the floor, which, I don't know about you, but I don't think I could fall asleep that way. But it was cute anyway, so that's all that matters, I guess. So he wakes up and sees her sleeping in her little curled up ball on the floor, and he picks her up and puts her in his bed, which is super cute. And obviously there's some feelings starting to develop between the two, which have been building week to week. And I forgot to mention, so when he went to her door to ask, like, hey, let's switch rooms again, and she says no, he basically says, why should we keep this a secret? And she says, I don't want to lose my job. He's also leaving. He lets her know for a little bit and basically tells her, don't miss me. And he's like, we're not friends. Or she says we're not friends, sorry. And he is basically like, I know. So we'll see. More obviously coming from those two. So that's all basically between those two. However, Miss Kim gets her own little side storyline in this one. I like to call her in this episode the little bird, because I don't know if any of you have seen Game of Thrones, but how Varys had little birds throughout the kingdom that basically were spies that told him things. So there's a maid that's essentially like a spy within the credenza. And she tells So-hyun about the situation going on. And for this episode, Soo-hyuk basically just tells her that he is going out of town. And that's it. There's still not a lot going on between the two. There's obviously something building, but it's still not a big part of the story. I assume that that's going to come very soon. Miss Kim, however, she has her own little stuff going on. So Soo-hyun brings her in, and like I told you, there was this little, I call her the little bird, told Soo-hyun what was going on with the two. So she's very aware of what is happening, but obviously Miss Kim doesn't know that. So she calls her in and basically says, "Do you have anything to tell me?" Knowing, she obviously knows that what is going on with Soo-hyuk, but Miss Kim says no. So she knows she's lying. And she also forgot to tell you, at the beginning, she offers her 1,000,000 won to essentially look through the bedrooms of the other people in credenza and see if she finds anything incriminating, because at the beginning of the episode, the big thing is that a new CEO has been named for Hyoan Group, which was, drumroll please, Jin Ho, the oldest son. We haven't talked a lot about him. He's obviously married to So-hyun, and so everyone thought that it was going to be Ji-young, Hee-soo's husband, the second oldest son. I assume because he has the better business prowess, etc. But it's not. So this is kind of a shock to the family, and everyone kind of deals with it in their own ways. So we're going to come back to that in just a second. But first, I'm going to cover the sister that had the whole cream bun incident where she went off. In this episode, the media has that story. It's released. Big Mama's freaking out. She's in public, obviously acting very apologetic, and that she, has shamed her family. But in private, she just wants it to go away with money, and that's it. Big Mama's really mad because Hee-soo didn't give the interviewer what they wanted to bury the story, and she will not tell them what the story was that they really wanted, which was about Ha-jun not being her real son. And at one point, So-hyun is called in to Big Mama, and she at that point could tell her what the real story was because she is aware of it, but she doesn't. So it kind of shows that she took her back a little bit, and kind of in it says she didn't really, she wasn't for or against, but in that moment she kind of helped Hee-soo out. So with Miss Kim, she gives the money, or attempts to give the money back to So-hyun and say, "I don't want to look for, things." And So-hyun basically says, "Keep it, you're going to need it." So you see So-hyun tell the little bird maid that's keeping tabs on everybody to go tell Big Mama and the sister what happened with Soo-hyuk and Miss Kim. So that is about to blow up in the next episode. Now we come to So-hyun. So obviously I told you about how she gave the bribe to Miss Kim. She also has this incident at her museum where there's a young girl kind of walking through the museum, and there is this piece of art that kind of looks like a chair. Honestly, to me, it kind of looked like a chair made out of tie-dyed t-shirts. Obviously, it's something more expensive than that, but that's what it looked like to me. And essentially, the girl sits on it and breaks it, and it's worth a crazy amount of money. And So-hyun is super nice to the little girl, basically says it's our fault, we didn't label it correctly, even though it had a do not touch. She thought she could sit there and not touch it. So that was a super cute moment. It showed that she cared more about the girl than the art itself. She also buys a piece of art, so she's looking online. We learn that the girl she was in love with, her name was Susie, or is Susie, and she has a piece of art up for sale online that she sees, and she buys it anonymously. So not a whole lot revealed there except that piece. that is it. She doesn't have a huge part in this episode. Just little things here and there that I think are kind of building. So now we get to the main three characters in this episode. Well, it's mostly focused around Miss Kang, Hee-soo, Ji-young, and Ha-jun. So that little family, all that are in Rubato. And let's get into it because it's a lot of drama. The whole world knows, because it's been announced, that Ji-young is not the CEO. And Hee-soo obviously is wondering why. But before that, she can even talk to her husband, Miss Kang. Goodness, Miss Kang. She basically comes in and asks Hee-soo, like, why didn't he take it? She's basically like, why do you know about the family's affairs or care? She says, Miss Kang says, because she thinks that it's best to know what's going on for the sake of Ha-jun. And essentially says, do you know your husband like you think you know your husband? And Hee-soo thinks so. But I think that obviously put some questions into her head, and it just shows Miss Kang is very, very, like, invested into what is going on. Hee-soo then does talk to her husband and basically says, why didn't you take it? Even if it wasn't for you, it could help Ha-jun. And Ji-young basically says, well, he wouldn't be CEO anyway because he's illegitimate, just like I'm illegitimate, because his mom was the mistress of the dad. So he just didn't want, I guess, him to go through that, because he said if he would have taken it, then the first thing the media would have covered is the whole situation with the birth mom, which I don't understand the big hoopla of this whole birth mom situation. It comes up so many times in this episode that Hee-soo is like, she's bound and determined not to tell anybody that that's not her real son. I know that she feels like that's her real son, right? She's raising him like he's her real son. But he does have a birth mother. During this whole episode, Ha-jun is being really cold to Hee-soo, to his mom. Like, very cold. Like, in the first few episodes, whenever he would come home, you know, like, they would greet each other, she would give him a hug, everything was great, and now, like, he is just really short with her, doesn't want a lot to do with her, and Miss Kang is always right there, you know, being like, don't run after him, give him his space, he just needs space, I'm the expert, you know, like, basically keeping them apart. So Hee-soo doesn't like this, so she takes it upon herself to basically be like, I'll take him to school today, blah, blah, blah. Miss Kang doesn't like it, but what is she gonna do? So she does take him to school, and she sees that he is basically being bullied. And she finds out, she kind of runs up on them and finds out that he's being bullied because kids are saying that she is not his mom. So it's already coming out at the school that Hee-soo is not his birth mom. And she basically says, why didn't you tell me? And he says he didn't want to find out if it was true. She basically says, I am your real mom. And hopefully mends the bridge, but obviously not. However, the boy that was spreading that rumor, Hee-soo decides to visit the mother of that student and basically confronts her in a very sneaky way. She basically goes to her house. She wanted an autograph because Hee-soo used to be an actress. So the son was talking about, like, oh, did you get my mom that autograph of your mom and all this stuff? And so she goes to her house and confronts her and says all all the kids that were invited to your son's birthday will not be there anymore because they've all been invited to this other thing. Essentially threatening the mom, letting her know, like, if you don't have your son apologize and basically tell him that it's not true, then your son's going to be the unpopular one, and a little bit threatening, right? So that's where we leave that situation, but obviously still some questions. With Miss Kang, she is taking care of, he's watching Hajun at his horseback riding lesson when the horse takes off in a dead sprint. Obviously a dangerous situation. She, as we learned in the episode before, used to do horseback riding. So she jumps on, gallops, protects him essentially. Grabs him right before he falls off, or they fall off together, but she protects him. So again, Miss Kang, who is like awful, is super duper loving to Ha-Jun. So this all culminates in a conversation between Hee-Soo and Miss Kang. And how I said last time that my spidey senses were tingling, telling me that maybe Miss Kang is his mother. I think I might be right. So how this conversation goes down, Miss Kang basically says that she knows what happened at school with Ha-Jun. And Hee-Soo basically says, you're overstepping, like, it's my kid, what are you doing? And she tells her, like, why don't you tell him that you're not his mom? And she says, I am his mom died in a car accident. And Miss Kang says, what if his mom isn't dead? Ding, 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 ding. So, I swear it was going to pop out of her mouth at any moment, but it didn't, that she was her mom, or she was his mom. But obviously, lots of tension. It's literally like, I feel like it'll probably be next episode that has to come out, or there's some connection between Miss Kang and Ha-Jun's mom. If it's not actually her, it has to be someone she knows, obviously. The only other weird thing was, so then Miss Kang, before this conversation with Hee-Soo, how Hee-Soo went and confronted the mom of the bully kid at school, Miss Kang goes and confronts the lady as well, and she is not nice. Like, she slaps the lady multiple times, and she's great at, like, the awful death looks. And she basically tells Hee-Soo during this conversation that you didn't defend him enough. Like, you aren't his real mom. That's why you can't defend him in an irrational way, because you're not his mom. So, good Lord, dun dun dun. Another reason I think that Miss Kang is his mom. She also gave him a necklace. Miss Kang gave Ha-Jun a necklace that I'm thinking maybe came from Ji-Young. She says that someone gave it to her, and she never realized it would circle back to him. So we'll see on that as well. And the last big thing, with the conversation with Hee-Soo and Miss Kang, she says that Hee-Soo tells her, you're crossing the line, don't cross the line. Which we had that whole conversation about crossing the line last time too. So, recurring theme, don't cross the line. And then the last big thing on this episode was Hee-Soo was meeting with Mother Emma. And Mother Emma runs that kindergarten, but it's for single moms. And Miss Kang kind of looks at Mother Emma like, didn't want to make eye contact with her. Almost like, don't recognize me. So I think, and then Mother Emma does look up, and it does seem like she does kind of recognize her. So I think that's about to come out as well. So this was definitely a very good episode as far as we found out who the CEO is. That obviously creates tension and drama, and it was a lot about the birth mother and Hisu being the mother. So we shall see what happens in the next episode. But until then, guys, super exciting. This one I think is a little shorter. Hopefully I can keep them shorter from now on. We shall see. I'm going to do a quick recap and change my clothes. I'm doing the red look, obviously, because red seemed to be a very, like, powerful color in this episode when things were happening that were intense. Like when Miss Kang went to hit the bully kid's mom. She was wearing this super red dress. There was another time when red was super prominent, so we're going with a red theme today. I will be right back. Alright, so here's the final look for this episode of mine. I'm super excited to see what happens. Will Miss Kang finally come out and say what the deal is? Is she Ha-Jun's mom? What is going to happen with the whole CEO situation? And will Soo-hyuk and Miss Kim finally get together? Hopefully we'll find out soon. I'm excited to see. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.